Well, China has unveiled a new 5-year plan to boost domestic spending. Beijing aims to raise household incomes by strengthening social welfare, while expanding consumption through the service sector and wider adoption of AI. The government aims to increase total retail sales of goods and services from about $7 trillion in 2025 to around $9 trillion by 2030, which is expected to add roughly $1.4 trillion in annual spending, an increase comparable to the size of the Netherlands economy. While the plan places a strong emphasis on expanding services consumption, its priority sectors include the silver economy, parenting products, healthcare, culture and tourism, and the snow economy. In the first 5 months of the year, services continued to drive overall consumption in China. Services retail sales grew over 5%, outpacing goods retail sales, which increased nearly 1.5%. While the plan also puts AI consumption in the spotlight, it encourages spending on smartphones, computers, robots and 3D printers, while supporting the rollout of self-driving technologies. And to encourage spending by foreign tourists, China says it will expand direct flights to more destinations in Europe, the United States and the Belt and Road partner countries. It also plans to extend its visa-free policy to more countries. Let's get more on the subject. Marc Ostwald is the Chief Economist and Global Strategist at ADM Investor Services International. Marc, great to have you on the show again. So we know that increasing domestic spending has always been on the priority. Actually, it could go back to 2020 even. So why now there is a specific, dedicated 5-year plan just to that?
I think for good reason. When we get the GDP numbers later in the week, we've got the trade data tomorrow, what we'll see is an economy where external demand is extraordinarily strong and admirably strong, but domestic demand is not particularly effective. Retail sales are forecast at -0.1 for June, after -0.8 in May. Very disappointing. So there is a need to drive better private consumption, and very understandably so. And there is also a need, as was outlined in the initial details of the initial 5-year plan, to boost domestic demand in general, and to also improve the social safety net with increased social transfers. When one compares China to the EU, which is perhaps not a fair comparison, but they are, it's of interest. Social transfers in China amount to 13.13%, and they amount to 30% in the EU.
Well, Marc, over the past year, the government has rolled out various measures to stimulate domestic spending, including the trading policies we have seen. So what other changes are we really expecting?
I think the important thing is the improvements related to childbirth and child care are very important, as are healthcare and care for the elderly, as well as reducing some of the red tape around leisure activities and cultural activities. There is a lot of potential there. It's a very large population, and if the opportunities exist, as we've seen particularly in a lot of Western countries, for more entertainment type and cultural things, people will go and spend that sort of money, whereas they perhaps might not be rushing to buy a house. They probably will be continuing to buy cars, but increased leisure activities definitely drive better services economy. That's been true the world over.
And what is slightly different this time, Marc, is Chinese authorities are also hoping inbound tourism and AI could also boost domestic spending. So how much do you think those can contribute to its domestic spending and its economy?
I think in terms of the AI economy, China has huge potential. It's already addressing a lot of the issues which perhaps some of the Western developers are only gradually catching up with, i.e. the high cost of AI is something which is actually a big hurdle, and China is moving very rapidly in that direction to make sure that it is affordable, and therefore the attractions and the ability for AI to transform a lot of things is definitely there. I think the other aspect is this aspect of social transfers. With a greater social safety net within China, people won't feel when the economy, perhaps jobs which are in a transition phase, the type of jobs which are being in demand now are very different to 5, 10, 15 years ago, wherever you look in the world. But you need more of a social safety net on that so that people feel encouraged to join the high-tech economy and that there are opportunities there.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark, for your insights.